Hey there! Simeron cremate epixilum. Why would I sing a Holy Week hymn? Well, because it starts with Simeron, and Simeron just always reminds me of Simar, and Simar is one of my very dear friends, and Simar lent me this pen. Yes, that is how my brain works. Live with it. I'm a free associator. So, what do we have here? This is a very fun pen and I'm very excited to review it. I'm very excited to show it to you because this is the Sailor King of Pen Pro Gear, which means it's a flat top, unlike the King of Pen, which has a round top, round ends. So I think that's kind of fun. I'm rather excited to review this because it is a Pro Gear model. I have reviewed the King of Pen, but I have not reviewed the King of Pen Pro Gear. It's also the clear version of the pen, which I think is kind of neat. So let's not waste any time. I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'll do a writing sample and I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Let's get cracking. Okay, the King of Pen Pro Gear, clear, Sailor, etc. Flagship pen in the Sailor brand, right? It's the not necessarily the Pro Gear, but I mean in general the King of Pen is their flagship model. Interesting, clear, cool pen. It is a cartridge converter filled pen. It has a large 21 karat gold nib. It is a larger pen, but I find that because it is a flat top, it looks nice and balanced a little bit more than the round top King of Pen. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but this doesn't look as big for some reason. I actually do not own a King of Pen. I do own the classic pens LB5, which is half a centimeter longer than a King of Pen with a round top, but it's based on it, so that would be the shape of a regular King of Pen. Okay? Now, I think that's what I can tell you about this pen. Before I do anything else, let me show you this pen right next to a Lamy Safari. You can see it is not a tiny pen, it is a bigger pen, and especially girthy. I think that really sums up the King of Pen. And I have the feeling, again because of the flat top, that seems to somehow to me emphasize the girthiness of this pen. Okay, let's go over the parts of the pen. Top of the cap, the finial, the Sailor anchor, which I've always liked. It's cute. Works well, nice detail. We have the clip, nice and springy, I really like that. A large center band, Sailor, Japan, founded, sorry I couldn't read it, I was trying to look at the LCD screen instead of the pen. Founded 1911. As you can see, it's a bit of a cigar shaped pen, except not a round top, but flat top. Barrel tapers down, and then you have the converter in there. Nice thing that Sailor does is that they have this massive metal piece in there, but it has an opening, so you can use that. I was trying to put some ink to the back. There we go. You see now this is filled with ink. So you can easily see, I mean clearly this works on a clear model because you can just look through the barrel. But even on the non-clear pens, they have the same, the King of Pens that are not clear have the same metal piece. You can quickly unscrew the barrel and you can easily see how much ink is in there. Now, of course, that is a very nice feature, but that basically only works on a clear pen, where this is kind of useful. But I mean, look at any other pen. Here's a Benu pen. I can easily see how much ink is in there the same way. So I never really understood what Sailor meant to accomplish by having that weird cutout in the metal part. But it's fun, and especially in this clear pen, it works particularly well, I think. Okay, we unscrew the pen. You have rather a girthy section. It's quite big. I find it quite comfortable too. And this is the type of pen that you can post, and then you have a very nicely sized pen, I think. The nib is 21 karat, and as far as I know, Sailor is the one brand that uses 21 karat gold nibs. It's labeled 1911. It has the anchor on it again, 21K875 for the gold content. It says Sailor, and very, very nice nib design. I've always liked their nibs. Plastic feed, but a massive feed though. These are big nibs. To give you an idea, this is an Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extra with a number 8 nib, and you can see that it's pretty much the same size as the King of Pen nib. So large nibs, which is kind of cool. It looks really nice. I think many fountain pen users really appreciate this. Of course, you can see the ink inside the section as well. That is one of the things I don't like so much about clear pens with a clear section, because to me, I don't know, it always looks a bit weird. But there you have it. Now, let's do a bit of writing. What I will say is this nib is, it was a broad, but it has been ground, I assume by the Toronto Pen Company, into something fine/medium. Simar likes fine nibs, so this is not the performance of a broad nib. That's just the way it is, right? The Pro Gear, 21K, so broad, now fine medium, right? And the ink is just Waterman Serenity, nothing fancy. Okay. I definitely find there's a feedbacky nib, but again, first of all, Sailor nibs typically have a bit of feedback, I found. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's quite pleasant, but not everyone may like that. And of course, the tipping here has been reduced, so it will be a bit more feedbacky. But you see, perfect flow, even for very fast writing, no skipping. No joke. Very nicely tuned pen, not too wet, not too dry. I really like it. Line variation, as always, very, very careful. You can squeeze out a little bit, but be very, very careful. It's not a flex nib. Reverse writing here, yeah, you already start out with a pretty fine nib, so don't expect too much. And you see it does run dry, but you already have a pretty fine nib to begin with, so I don't really think you need to turn this one over if you have this nib configuration. Okay, there you have it. Let's see what I like about this pen and what I not like about this pen. Okay, what do I like, what do I not like about the Sailor King Pen Pro Gear? Well, there's a couple of things that I really like. One thing is, I think it's a lovely pen. I like the King Pen model in general, but the flat top version is very nice. I didn't really used to be a fan of flat tops, but I'm slowly getting to a point where I start to appreciate them more. It's just a personal thing, but I think this is definitely a nice one. I also really like the fact that it's clear. Clear is cool. You can see the parts, it's neat, you can see the nib, it's just very, very nice. I also like, I like the size. To me it's very comfortable, and the section is maybe a little bit girthy, but that may be an issue for some people. I do think it makes for a very nicely sized pen, especially if you post it. It's a great size for me. So I think that's good. Aziza has smaller hands, and I had the feeling that she finds this very comfortable too. So maybe even for people with slightly smaller hands, this pen is still a good option. Also because it is girthy, but it's not super long, right? So my LB5, which I've shown you before, the thing with this is not only girthy because it has the same section, but it's also longer. And if you start to post this, then it gets really, really big. So I like this Pro Gear shape. I like it. I will also say this is a robust pen. I have personally witnessed this thing hitting the Toronto streets a couple of times. Some pens are like that. They just like to fall down. There is, of course, the marks of it. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but there are definitely some scratches right there. But of course, as Hannibal Lecter reminded us, scars have the ability to show us that the past was real. So in that regard, I always like it when a pen has a little bit of a scuff, not a crack, but a little bit of a scuff, because it shows you that it was there. It did things, something happened to it, and that's kind of neat. So that's all cool. Things I don't like so much. Well, as I said, the section, it might be a little girthy for some people. So this is the type of pen that I would recommend you go to a shop and try out before you buy it, if you're able to do so. To me, the biggest issue is it's an $800 pen, but what does it really have to show for it? It's not a piston filler, it's a 21 karat gold nib, sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a clear pen. This is I assume, an acrylic. It's not a fancy exotic celluloid. So what makes this an $800 pen then? And this is an interesting discussion that some people will hate, but I'm not sure if I really see $800 worth of value in this. Especially because it's a cartridge converter filled pen, and I have nothing against that. The more pens I've used, the more I started to like cartridge converter filled pens because they're so easy to clean. The issue is more so that these particular Sailor converters are fairly horrid. Let's be fair, their capacity is tiny. Now this is a fine nib, so that's not really a big deal, but if you were to have a broader nib, which is what it came with, and I'm splattering ink all over myself here, that is a bit more of a hassle, I would say. So I really wish that Sailor could come up with a larger capacity converter. This is the reason that in my LB5 I always refill a cartridge, which is a bit more of a hassle, but at least I have a decent ink capacity. So that to me is an issue. The ink capacity is small, and for that price, at least at the level of ink capacity, I might expect a little more. Okay? But at the end of the day, it is a cool pen, and it's a flagship pen, and you pay for that, whether you like it or not. That's just how the fountain pen world works. So, a very kind thank you to Simar for lending me the pen. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of people wanted to see this review because they have requested King of Pen Pro Gear reviews, so there you have it. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye-bye.